hotter the conflict, the greater the triumph.
A theistic serpent may be overcome by a swarm of ants.
Lead me, follow me, or get out of my way. Age wrinkles the body, quitting wrinkles the soul.
All right.
buddies.
Battle buddies.
Woo!
We're here?
We're here.
Dude.
We're doing it.
Yay.
We're back already. Why is my chair so short?
Yeah, that's not our typical thing these days.
It's a little better. How you doing, man?
We're well. I'm glad to be here. It's you know what I was thinking of today about this? Because this is technically like a sequel to our Thermopylae series
Yes.
3 years ago. This does kind of feel like a senior year moving into our fourth year thing to do. Like, hey, we got to go back now.
Gotta go back.
We got to go back and we got to cover something that we said we would 3 years ago.
Yes, I like fulfilling promises.
It feels good.
It does feel good.
It
And
feels good.
I talked to Hannah about it. She's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So you don't have to read more. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, wait, I read a book and a half for this.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you read?
I read. Wait. Let's back up. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, this is Battle Buddies.
Battle Buddies.
If you don't know, we are a podcast out of Solano County, and we cover ancient and modern conflicts.
Mhm.
For those who definitely would probably get bored by your everyday history lesson, we aim to add fart jokes.
Yes. Military history textbooks are boring.
They
and
are,
bad,
dude. Can confirm.
But we make it fun.
Yeah, and so our first ever episode was Thermopylae because we were like, where do we naturally start? It's Thermopylae, duh.
Yep.
And when you go over from Thermopylae, you ultimately run into the Battle of Salamis, which is
The Battle of the Salami.
the battle of meats and cheeses. No, but it is kind of the naval version of Thermopylae, to be honest.
Dude, and it's arguably way more impactful
Agreed.
for the
And I also like
coalition.
Themistocles.
dude.
Well,
We're gonna get into it, but I want the whole narrative to be around Themistocles,
he's dope.
dude.
I would love to know who you would compare him to modern.
Yes,
eyes.
yes. Let's get into
So welcome, and we are going to dive into the Battle of Salamis. We're going to go, I don't know, about 2,505 years ago?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Even we'll jump ahead slightly into the future because I say we start with our boy, our true boy. He's best friends of the podcast, and his name is Herodotus
From Halicarnassus.
from Halicarnassus.
Modern-day Turkey.
So Herodotus, this Greek historian, father of history, father of lies, he is traveling, I think it's like 10 or 20 years after this conflict, I think is when he's traveling around Athens. I forget exact
10.
dates. Yeah, 10, which is crazy because there's a play written about this
Exactly.
8 years
by
after.
Estius?
Yeah, Estius, something like that. So he goes to Athens, and Athens is in another war. And Herodotus, I love modern history. I'm glad that we're in the era of history that we're in because everybody is back on the Herodotus is actually hella dope
Yes.
train. Whereas if you read through older histories, there is like a point in the 20th century where everyone's like, kind of fuck Herodotus. Like he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm
100%.
like, you guys suck. He's so cool. So anyway,
It's all we have, though.
yeah, it is. Well, we have like 3 or 4 sources, but he's the best one.
He's the one, dude.
And so he is in Athens, 10 years, let's say, after this war, and he's just talking to folks. He's like, "Hey, what happened here, man?"
Yeah.
And he just collects all the things, and then apparently he gives a speech to like 30,000 Athenians or something, and he tells the story that he learned, which is the story that we're going to tell. So we're telling the story,
And he grew up with oral traditions as well. So he
Absolutely.
would grow up as a young preteen, 10 to a 12-year-old, watching all of these crazy Battle of Marathon type things
dude.
in the streets, in oral tradition and plays and all this stuff. So
And
he's
what
like,
story did they all grow up on?
"Oh." The Iliad, bro.
The Iliad. And
It's absolutely.
It absolutely is going to
Yeah,
feature
yeah,
in
yeah.
this story.
Yes, it is. I know exactly where you're going. With it. I already know where you're going to go with it. But yeah, it's all intertwined. It's all here. It's nice to be covering the Battle of Salamis 3 years into studying warfare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our main ancient sources for this battle, Herodotus.
The histories.
Then we have a little bit later in the Roman Plutarch. He also is going to be writing. And the difference between them is that for somebody like Plutarch and some of these like Roman historians, or even like the really late Greek historians.
Thucydides, I believe.
Yeah. So what they bring to the table, as far as like why do you read them if you can already read Herodotus, is that they had access to plays and poems that didn't survive. So like it didn't get copied down by Pliny the Younger, so we don't have it anymore. Right? It's that kind of shit. Or it burned in the Library of Alexandria, so like we don't have it anymore. So we have to rely on some of those guys too to get the full story. But what's fun is that we essentially have 3 good narratives that we can pick apart for this story.
Yeah, it's a pretty well like drawn out. We know what happened.
It
for the
fucking
most
happened.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's archaeological evidence and things of this nature. It's
So
very
before we
cool.
go in to the story, those are the ancient sources. What sources did you look at?
So I read a book. Well, so one, I believe it's book 8 of the histories, and I read the Tom Holland. Translation.
Tom Holland does translation.
It is so.
Is it good?
Dude, he's very sarcastic, and it's
Yeah.
fun. It's very fun. I love it deeply. So Tom Holland, I read that his portion, the Battle of Salamis portion of the histories. The histories is massive.
Yeah.
So. I also read a book by Barry Strauss called The Battle of... Did you read that?
I read that book.
Yeah, it was quick.
It's very good.
It was awesome.
I
did a great
really
job.
like Barry Strauss's take on a lot of things.
I also listened to him specifically on a bunch of podcasts where they talk about the Battle of
okay.
Salamis, and then I consumed what is available on YouTube as far as all the history nerds out there trying to get clicks for the Battle of Salamis.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the Barry Strauss book too. Very good. Highly recommend it.
Super good.
Um,
Even listening,
Yes.
the audio is really good.
It's not nearly as bad as some of the other military history texts that I've been going through.
Agree.
It's way more readable.
Especially in comparison to Thermopylae.
Yes.
Because there's not good literature on Thermopylae other than the histories.
Yeah. Like Gates of Fire is fun.
Yeah, but that's just a novel.
That's just a novel. I also found a fun article that I'll be pulling from a lot because it shows so much of early America.
Oh, really?
So it's 1939 from like the Naval Academy. This guy wrote an essay called "The Battle of Salamis," and his name was David Gene Edwards. And 1939 is such an interesting time to write
Yes.
about naval warfare, and it is
Yes.
littered with just fear of communism and patriotic duty and how democracy is it. And what's fun about anything that's like we've talked about him before, but in the humanities, you have this guy like Edward Said who wrote these essays that were kind of landmark essays in terms of, hey, when we look at stuff, maybe we're not looking at the true sources closely enough anymore, and we're coloring it a little more than we should, which has caused us to go back to people like Herodotus and be like, maybe Herodotus does know what he's talking about, or maybe the Mongols weren't just straight barbarians. Maybe they had ideas, or maybe, like in this 1939 essay, maybe the Persians aren't
Immortals, bro.
Maybe they aren't dumb monsters with no military tactics.
Dude.
Like this guy tries to argue.
Even so, to put it even into more modern terms
Yeah.
for the listener, if you look at 300, they're
Dude.
monsters in that movie.
They are. It is. That movie
It's fucked
is
up.
so problematic. And I try not to be like, let's cancel. Like, I'm trying to not be that guy. But then when you watch it and you're like, why? Why?
The problem, dude. So it's fine at face value when you're just watching it.
And he doesn't have a beard.
Oh wait, who?
Xerxes.
They fucked Xerxes up pretty bad.
He's supposed to have a beard. Like all
Yeah.
Persian kings. Barry Strauss goes into like all Persian kings have a beard. And if they
Yeah.
don't, they grew up with like makeup artists that would
Mhm.
design them beards because it was a thing.
Yeah, so one of the podcasts that I listened to, this woman was on talking about the Battle of Salamis, and she is Iranian, which means she's Persian, and she was like, I can't watch movies where they try to show you. She was like, literally, my entire family was like, don't watch 300, you'll get pissed.
Yeah.
You'll get it. It's like straight up offensive. So that is important, kind of to.
It is.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Let's do a quick recap. So, I mean, I guess we can do this story through Themistocles' perspective, right? That'd be kind of fun. So,
I mean, I would what really kind of sets the tone for me is in 499. I would like to at least explain the Ionian Revolt,
sure. Yeah.
which is just as far as Greece is concerned, in comparison to Persia, it's kind of hard, right? Looking at it from the lens of democracy and us being in a so-called democracy.
Right.
When you're like, oh man, like why, if Persia was coming along, like, hey, you can do exactly what you're doing. You just need to kind of like technically call me God. Just continue doing what they're doing. And Greece was like, no. And it's like, really? That's like a hard, are you sure? It doesn't seem like a bad one to go through. But the Greeks at the time, the Ionian Revolt is, I guess, of like a modern day comparison, would be like the Arab Spring. You have this one ideology and then all of these single city states that are revolting up against like a larger problem. So it's important to just know that the Greeks are a fractured.
They are not a unified people.
No.
It is city-state.
There we are.
The politics are far more complicated than anything that we are exposed to now. Because we are not exposed to tribal politics or city-state
and
politics.
Themistocles is going to play on that.
That's why, like, to understand the fucking goat of this story, Themistocles, you have to understand that politics are way harder than they are now, which is funny because now we think politics are so complicated. Sure, kind of. But also we have nukes, so they're really simplified too. Because brinkmanship does simplify and flatten certain things.
That's true.
This is, every man with a spear could potentially kill you. And so what do we do about that? We go to war every fall after we harvest? Okay, like it's complicated.
Yeah, so just important to know that as far as everything is concerned, the Greeks are just kind of considered the assholes in the picture. They have revolted, they have done an uprising in regards to all of Persia.
Yeah, the Athenians.
Yeah, and that's what brings us to, right, this is more context stuff, like the Battle of Marathon, right?
Yes.
And you got, is it Darius, which is Xerxes' dad.
Yes. Who, fucking his story is the most bonkers story too. Because he had a coup. He took over. So that's the thing with the Persian stuff where they say like they're all, evil, warmonger, like they just want to control and stamp down. No, they had a bad leader. And then they killed him and put Darius in charge. And Darius was excellent at leading their empire. And I'm not saying an empire is the right call, but if you're going to do an empire, let's do it right. And let's kill the blue bloods that are bad at it. Think about all the Western Europe Middle Ages with all the stupid, like frail, fragile, like hemophiliacs that we like let lead armies. Like, why? Why let the hemophiliac lead the army? Like, he shouldn't.
I like how Tom Holland puts it, where he's like,
I don't like to specify whether they're goodies or baddies.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, you gotta be, when it comes to history, you have to just kind of view it as a story, but Themistocles is dope.
He's fun.
He's hella cool. So I just kind of want, the marathon narrative is important because Darius invades Greece to punish Athens, and Themistocles isn't the dominant figure yet, but Athenian hoplites defeat Persians at Marathon, and this is like a stunning upset. And for me, what this reminded me of, because Xerxes ultimately like hates on Athens because of this.
Yes.
And it reminds me of a George Bush and a George Bush Sr. and Saddam Hussein situation, where George H.W. like hated on Saddam, and you get George W. He's like, he hated my dad, Rummy. Yeah. He hated my dad. And it seems very similar, where Xerxes is like, I must avenge my father.
Yep.
So it's important to know that deep-seated wounds are within Xerxes, where he hates these peoples, and like rightfully so.
Yeah.
And these are also the type of people. Remember in the movie where at one point they come. This is in the beginning when they shove him down the well. This is Sparta, dude. That is. We talked about this.
We talked about this.
Yes, this is like the courier thing.
Yeah, you cannot do that.
Yeah,
it is a big no-no.
Yeah, so if
some say the biggest no-no,
it is, dude. It's like against the unwritten rule. It just shows like your character as Sparta. So that was like a huge casus belli, almost, wouldn't you say?
It absolutely is.
It's, I believe they call it searching, asking for water and earth.
Yeah, is the token, the symbolic token of allegiance.
Yeah, of like I surrender.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the marathon, and we go over marathon in our Thermopylae series if you want to hear more about because the exact battle is fascinating, but we've already gone over that one. But that is a crazy ass battle, and you're right. That does set up the context. The crossing of the Persians over the Hellespont is fucking wild and hilarious, and they cross in 480 with the sole goal of just crushing all of these city-states, and they're doing real good.
Yeah.
Up until this point.
Yep, and now they have one more thing that is in their way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And this is when our boy Themistocles comes in. So how do we want to introduce Themistocles, dude? How does one introduce Themistocles? So who would you compare him to in modern day standards? Whether fictional or real?
I think fictional, he is like Littlefinger to some degree from Game of Thrones. Like, he is the politician.
I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Okay. So Littlefinger is
Sorry.
like an
For
actual...
all the listeners out there judging me hard
Yeah.
right now. I just heard so many people in sitting in traffic going, ooh.
Yeah, that.
I'm not listening to this podcast anymore.
It's fine because Game of Thrones ruined itself. But for a while, it was, monumental to our culture.
It was.
And Littlefinger is like the ultimate politician in that show. Like,
Okay.
he's just so good at like maneuvering.
Okay.
And Themistocles maneuvers. He maneuvers really well.
He's good at maneuvering. I was going to liken him to a Colin Powell type.
Okay, I could see a Colin Powell.
As far as like a fictional character goes, my mind goes to Nick Fury from Marvel.
Okay.
I know that Dan Carlin attributed him to Han Solo in the Star Wars universe.
Sure, like Never Tell Me the Odds. He's so much smarter than a Han Solo.
I agree. I don't like the Han Solo narrative as much. Parallel, excuse me.
You know who he's Odysseus.
So that's what Tom Holland says.
Oh,
Tom
I
Holland
fucking love you,
says
Tom Holland.
Odysseus. Yeah.
I would agree with
He
that.
said a mixture between Odysseus and Churchill.
So for my historical one, I would say Churchill.
Churchill.
He is
A lot of people
absolutely a
say that.
Churchill. Because if you read Churchill's histories, so they're really fun. But he says a lot of things like, he was unfortunately plagued with being an ordinary man. Like, that's like the ultimate Churchill burn is like,
Yeah.
Von Moltke the Younger, unfortunately, was ordinary, and he was not Von Moltke the Elder. Like, he could not handle the Schlieffen plan.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah. So that's absolutely Themistocles. He is.
And Churchill would put them into positions where you couldn't back down, like as England. Like, okay, now we have to do this because Churchill put his foot in his mouth and he put us into harm's way, which is literally what Themistocles will do. But Athens gets sacked. That's important to know. So Athens is not doing good. According to the other Greeks, it doesn't exist anymore. And that'll come up later in their little council meeting. But Athens is not in a good place. And that's what Themistocles is supposed to be kind of in charge of.
Yeah. So he wants to go to the war council, and there is a moment, right, where Themistocles is talking to not even just the war council, the country, so to speak, the city-state, right, so to speak, and they have a bunch of funds of money available.
Yes.
And
From the silver mines.
From the silver mines.
Guns, germs, and steel comes in hard in Thermopylae in the Persian Wars, I think.
So do you want to take it from here?
No, you got it.
Okay, so they have an abundance of all this money.
Yes.
And they're like, where should we use this, right?
Yep.
And Themistocles knows that trying to convince them to spend money on a huge naval fleet to defend Persia, fight Persia, would be a big ask.
Yeah.
Because it would be like asking the Oakland Athletics to try and beat the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series. It's like it's like a David and Goliath situation. So instead of trying to convince them of putting all this money in the naval fleet to fight Persia, he says, let's do it to fight the island of Aegina, right? The Aegeans. Yeah. And that's a little bit easier for them to chew.
Yeah, they all fight each other every year.
And they agree.
Yeah.
They do it, bro. And now we have a bomb-ass fleet of triremes. And
it was like 200?
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
200, 300. And triremes are dope. And for some reason, and we don't really know why, there's lots of speculation. For some reason, our triremes were heavier than the Persians.
These ones are heavier.
Yeah.
Specifically, these 200.
Waterlogged, or they didn't have enough time to let the wood sit out in the sun.
Or he planned it.
Interesting. Because of where they were going to be in the bay.
I think Themistocles had an idea that he wanted to do something with heavy triremes. But maybe not. I mean, maybe that's just me wanting Themistocles to be this far-seeing guy. Because when you foil him against his foil that we'll meet, Aristides, whatever his name is, the Just, Themistocles is far-seeing. Like, he is that guy.
Oh, dude, he is for sure a tactician.
Yes.
Who He's a chess player.
Yeah.
Does chess exist yet? Interesting question.
I don't know if chess, but
We're
they
not there
play
yet?
they play checkers.
Okay, so similar vibes.
They play games.
Something that you have to look in the future
Yeah.
for. Yeah, so this guy was able to look in the future, and triremes are very well known for being fast
Yes.
and very, very interesting form of warfare that I got to nerd out on this go around. One was like the Marines on these ships were insane.
Dude, the Marines are
Crazy, super risky. So this means basically nothing for most people, but I played a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey before.
Mhm.
Have you played that?
No, I haven't played that one yet.
Dude, so you get to go in trireme fights, and
Cool.
you have absolutely control whether you want to jump aboard with your Marines, or you
Mhm.
want to try to hit their oars, or you want to try to like volley them with a bunch of flaming arrows and then ram them.
Mhm.
Triremes, the name of the game, I believe for the most part, was you're either going to ram them, which is like timing and you have to get it
Yep.
just right, or you're going to get upside by them and hope that your Marines can get aboard and take over the ship. But that's also very risky.
Yeah, what's that? There's the military tactic. It's de plus, right? De plus is the tactic that I believe it's called. So you drum through the enemy so that you find a hole in their line. You drum
Mhm.
through it, and then you try to like turn and hit them. So that's one part of the de plus. Or you go through and you try to shear off their oars.
That hard, very difficult. And
It's
so
crazy.
I tried it in the game. It's difficult because then when you shear off their oars, they are no longer going to turn. You're giving them you're giving yourself a bigger opportunity to ram their side.
Yeah.
Because they have an entire side that's not able to move.
Yes.
So they're stuck
Yes.
and they're just showing their broadside.
Showing the broadside's crazy.
Yeah. So very, very fun. I had a lot of fun playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey and literally doing trireme battles. And if you have not played that game and you're a video game player, dude, hop on that shit for real. Takes
Okay.
place a while after the Battle of Salamis, but it's very fun.
I'll do
They
it.
make references to it all the time.
That's good. Okay, so he makes this fleet, and then Athens falls, right? Is that the timing? The timeline's a little weird on that stuff, but he makes a fleet. That's all we really need to know for this battle. And it's essentially him. The other thing with the triremes, this is guns, germs, and steel stuff, because Greece, what we call Greece now, has access to both silver and to the being able to make bronze. They are able to coat and capture the front part of the trireme with bronze, so it can even ram. Because if it's just wood, it couldn't ram
Mhm.
like that. So just to show like how powerful it is, like that.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But I didn't realize how unstable they are. When you were reading about just even an archer trying to shoot on one, like it's super dangerous because like it could rock the boat to no end, and then nobody knows how to drum correctly and nobody knows how to oar correctly because of the one arrow being volleyed off. So they have to be really precise as they do anything.
So that's another thing you get to hear in Assassin's Creed, the drumming, and you hear
Cool.
them singing while
Oh,
they
cool.
row. Oh my goodness, dude. It is so interesting.
Okay, so one question before we go in, and I brought a little prop for this,
Uh-huh.
is, and this will come up now from Xerxes, and this will also come up later in Rome when we are going into the Punic Wars, which is how do you get Xerxes to want to conquer a place like Athens? Like, why do you want to conquer these places in the Aegean Sea and, all this Mediterranean stuff? And the way that you do it is you're the little advisor, and you would be King Xerxes, and be like, hey, Xerxes, why don't you try that?
Do I try it now?
Yeah, you try it.
Okay. Is this an ASMR moment?
I just gave Spencer a little fig. And then obviously, because you guys don't have access to hot Cheetos, you're like, this is the best thing you've ever had, right? You're eating a fig. How you feeling about the fig?
Dismal at best.
It's not really lighting it up for me, but but apparently that's all they had to do to Xerxes. They gave Xerxes the fig. And they're like,
Really?
yeah.
Maybe the figs in the Mediterranean are laced with.
These figs suck.
Yeah, this is not it, bro.
It's fine. It just tastes like eating fiber. Poop grape.
Whew.
I'm not cutting any of this. I'm not cutting any of this. This is great.
Yeah, I think their figs were for sure laced with something, bro.
Or that's just how bad their diet is, you know?
Really?
Maybe they're good when they're fresh, because this is a dried fig.
Yeah, perhaps. I
So-
guess figs must have been rare as fuck.
So that's the thing. Because the other thing that they do is, so like in Rome, a senator, he'll like, kind of like, I'm just like giving this big speech about why we need to go to war with Carthage. And then accidentally, a fig will fall out of my sleeve.
As like bribery?
And the Senate will see it, and I'll pick it up. I'll say, "This is growing only in Carthage,
I see.
and it's less than a day's sail away. All this money can be ours, essentially, because it's just
Okay, so figs are valuable.
figs are so
yeah,
valuable.
yeah. Got
Everybody wants
Got
them.
it.
So-
Do not taste good, however they are valuable.
Economically, people are buying up figs for hundreds of years at this time. Figs are the commodity. So I thought that was interesting that figs are literally a political move.
It's
Like,
a very teacher thing you just did to me, Kevin.
yeah,
How dare you
I love it.
teach me something that'll be in my brain forever? No. And my taste buds.
Okay, so that's Themistocles.
He's a boss.
He's a boss. We should know about Xerxes, just because he's the leader of the other. And there's no real leader of the Greeks. You know, the Greeks are not a thing.
We the people.
Yeah.
It's a we the people situation.
Well, and not all of them are a we the people. Athens is the great experiment in democracy right now. In this time period, a lot of the Spartans have kings. They have 2 kings.
yeah.
And they have a banished king who's working with Xerxes. You know, it's
Not
like
a democracy.
yeah, it's not a democracy. But Athens is absolutely trying one. And we make fun of it heavily in our Thermopylae when we were talking about the marathon. Because
Did you re-listen to our series?
yeah, because they were talking about like which general is going to the general changes every day, and so like you don't know if you're going to battle or not because you don't know which general you're going to get that day because it's all they're all elected and stuff. It's fucking so stupid. Like it's the worst.
That's hilarious.
So Xerxes is controlling Persia. Persia doesn't have ships. Like there's no Persian navy.
No. It's a mixture of a bunch of other nations.
They're collecting them. And what they do have, though, is they have the Phoenicians, right?
Mm-hmm. That's their...
And the Phoenicians are the strongest navy
It's their X factor for sure.
in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they are way stronger than any of these other...
Oh, yes.
Because I think in the Greeks, they have the Peloponnesians, right? Yeah, they do have the Peloponnesians. But the Phoenicians are gnarly. And the Phoenicians, they just control... If you look at, like, a time-lapse map of all of the like city states that they will in colonies that they will make, it's just enormous because they're so good at following that coastline.
They just
controlling
consume it
Yeah,
as
it's
they
just
go
crazy.
along.
So they're very good, which is scary for the Greeks because there's
They're
also
probably using gray zone tactics, bro.
probably
For real. All those merchant ships going in and out, they're like, nah.
and they're if you should play them on Civ 6. It's fun because you can change your capital all the time by making new settlements. Like you can really
Interesting.
mess with it. Like they definitely did something similar to that. But the Persians do have a lot of troops. They have a pretty big navy. They have Egyptians with them too, which are very strong. The Egyptians are weird with the Persians because they're always revolting against the Persians, but somehow the Persians always put them down. And so when people, when 300, when they make Xerxes look really weak, Xerxes, his first thing that he ever did after his dad Darius died is he went over and stamped out the Egyptian revolt, which means that he probably knows what he's doing because they were very good at warfare. Like the Egyptians are very strong. It's not an easy thing to do.
This narrative that Xerxes is some male model posing for Calvin Klein is like not it.
No, he's a horseback rider. He
Yeah.
just isn't a naval tactician. He's a horse rider.
Correct.
Like that's
He's-
what his whole thing was.
And he's like comes from an affluent family where
Yes.
you would have had time and privilege to learn and be physically fit and
Yeah.
educated, and that's astronomically important to
Yes.
know rather than just being like Xerxes was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it. Just because he's one generation away from a coup. And so I don't think they're letting another bonehead be in charge of Persia right now. Maybe later, maybe when there's like a fall and decline kind of thing going on, but no, not right now. No way. Heck no. And I think that the Persians, I think, are good leaders. They reward those who are successful, and they are brutal to those who fail them, which is effective, I would imagine. That's what the Mongols do, and they're very effective doing something very similar to that.
Yeah, there was something in the book I remember about Xerxes being like, or the author explaining to the modern reader, like, oh, sometimes you wonder why you would bow down to these kings like Xerxes, and it's because if you didn't, you would have been tortured, bro. It wasn't necessarily just
because they
death.
inherited from the Medes, and the Medes were insane.
Yeah, there's death by 1,000 cuts nonsense, stuff like that. For real.
Yes, all those reliefs that you can see of like Medes, like kings, like essentially raping the queens while the husband's being murdered. The side, it's just like intense. Okay, so the city-states of Greece, which is not Greece at this time, they come together and they form a council at Isthmus, right? Is that the first place?
The Isthmus of Corinth.
The Isthmus of Corinth, where they have to come up with a plan because they're like, this guy's coming down hot, and he has like the Thracians on his side right now, I believe, the Thebes, and that's where all the horses are. So there's cavalry that's going to be fighting with them. Really
the
bad.
Best cavalry in the world, by the way.
The best cavalry, and Persians know how to use cavalry because they grew up fighting the steppes. And so they fight Scythians, which are very scary because Scythians turn into Mongols eventually. So it's like, that's no joke.
Yeah.
But that's why they use wicker shields too. We talked about that in our Thermopylae
These are
series.
warriors, bro.
And I love this. This is so like American politics right now. What's their first plan? Let's build a wall. We'll build a wall.
Build a wall, dude. I mean, so
it didn't work. It's such a dumb idea. So many resources to build a wall.
I understand the spirit of it, dude.
Sure, I guess.
But when they went to the Oracle of Delphi to ask about what was going to happen, wasn't there a prophecy about a wall of wood?
Yes.
But what was that wall of wood referring to?
Nothing, because it never is clear. The whole
ships.
point of the
It's
prophecy
talking about the ships,
it's talking about
bro.
the ships. But you can, it could be this. What is some of the Oracle of Delphi prophecies from this time? It's like, if you go and fight the Greeks, a great nation will fall. Well, that could be either one. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's ambiguous.
Yes, on purpose. Oracles are not dumb. They want to get paid by both sides.
So what you're saying is, when I look out at those shops in any downtown in the United States of America, and you see those things that say like psychic, open, and you're like, damn, how the fuck are those even like around anymore? It's like, well, because they've always been around.
Always been.
They're just dressed differently now.
Do you remember those psychic hotlines when we were kids?
Of course, bro.
Did you ever call one?
No.
I never called one.
What was it? Miss Cleo.
Miss Cleo. There were other ones. They're like local ones you'd call. Man, I always wanted to. So I'm like,
people, other than the people literally listening to this podcast, people are stupid.
except for you.
Except for you, whoever's beautiful ear holes are listening to our sultry voices right now.
That's nice.
Meta.
All right. Who knows where we are? They built a wall.
It's got steamy in here. Yeah, so they built a wall. And it's
really-
not the Battle of New Orleans where do we have slaves in this battle? Do we have slaves in this battle?
We have
It
a
doesn't
slave-
matter. You need resources for a wall more than you need people.
all of these battles in all ancient warfare is slave powered. Nobody who is doing the supply lines, who's rowing these boats on the bottom part of the trilanes.
Wait, pause. So that's the difference. The people rowing the boats for Themistocles were not slaves.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But who is going to be our great espionage actor later on?
So cool.
He is the coolest person next to Themistocles.
He is.
He kind of gets played by Themistocles, but in the best way
But
that
it's
you
cool.
would play an honest person.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we got Persia coming down.
Persia's coming down.
And so obviously we know this because they have scouts out. And
Yes.
scouts are seeing this, right?
Yes, and city-states. I'm assuming that this is a part that's not really in the histories, but I assumed that refugees would. It's kind of like a blitzkrieg, So like the problem with the blitzkrieg is that as it punches through the city, the refugees run back and they clog up your supply lines. I imagine as they're hitting these city-states, people are running down to the next city-state.
So, what does Themistocles do while the Persians are showing that they are ready to attack? Themistocles has a boy. He's got a dog. He's got a, what do we call him, a mole? Would we call him a mole? He just double crosses someone. Would you call it double crossing someone?
What are you talking about? Who's double crossing?
Oh, when he has a courier go to Xerxes and tell them.
Well, we're not there yet. We got to get the boats into the battle. All right, so the council at Isthmus, they need to prepare for the naval conflict. Like, they know that they have these boats. They know that the Persians have a fleet. They are divided. Themistocles is in the camp of let's go and fight in the straits.
The Aegeans.
But he doesn't say that because he knows that nobody wants to do that because everybody else wants an open battle like it's normal. So instead, he does his first real smart political move besides building the boats, which is let's have a new council meeting for the naval warfare and let's just do it in this place called Salamis. And that's just what he says. He's like, we'll go here. This will be our staging ground. This will be our port, essentially.
The island?
The island. We'll make our council convene here to then decide where to do the conflict. And I don't have any ideas of where to do the conflict. I think that's really smart. That's positional authority.
Neutral ground.
Yeah. And it just happens to be the place where he wants to have the battle. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
That's freaking Churchill stuff right there, right?
That is Churchill stuff.
It's great. So he gets them all there. It's looking, supposedly, depending on which source you're looking at, like the Greeks are about to pull out and then go do the open battle. Because they agree that Themistocles' plan originally, and then they say no to it, that he's stupid.
It's essentially like this. I would say a good modern take on this would be, at some point, the United States had to sit there and they had to think, do we want to just drop bomb on Japan or do we want to invade?
Yes, that is a very good analysis.
Same
comparison.
type of vibe here,
Yes.
where they're sitting there at this war council, like, do we want to go at sea or do we want to kind of retreat a little bit and be on the ground? And mind you, knowing full well, right, that they would be distracted by a homeboy in Sparta named Leonidas. He would be sacrificing himself so that he would be giving them time to retreat.
Right.
In theory.
And they originally say yes at Themistocles, and then they give him some epic burns where they say, you don't even have a city-state. Why are you even here? But his retort is really fun. He says, I have 200 boats. That's essentially its own city-state. Which I could totally see that happening in our Senate. Somebody trying to give a little verbal slap down.
It's also convincing because this is a bunch of people who say that they're in power, right? If you're a city-state, so if you're like, hey, I have all these things that would help your city-states, you, exactly like you said, positional authority.
It's positional authority.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're going to leave. We'll say that because it's more fun in our narrative. So the Greeks are going to leave in the morning. And then what? What does he do that night? He freaks out. But he has a plan. What's his plan? This
Are you talking about the plan? Oh, so the plan with the courier is he's going to tell this courier, he's like, hey, go tell Xerxes that it is time. We're about to bounce. So by the time that they come down here, they're going to catch us on our fast escaping.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, all right, cool. So this courier goes out and he goes to Xerxes and he's like, hey, I have some solid intelligence for you. The stupid idiot Themistocles and his fleet are about to leave. If you want to catch them by surprise, we need to leave tonight.
Yeah.
We need to be there by morning. 0500.
Yeah, what do you say? Essentially, that the Greeks, Themistocles is ready to go over to your side. Come right now, and they will surrender. And that's happened before. That's happened in other naval conflicts that Persia's already been in, where they've had a secret deal where right when the naval battle starts, show your banners and leave.
Like almost like a feigned retreat situation.
And then that leaves the one city-state that is stupid, and then we kill them.
This is a bitch.
So this has already happened. The guy's name is Cycnius.
This is the courier's name?
Yeah, he's a slave. Very interesting slave. So this slave because a lot of slaves, like we learned in our Viking series, are veterans, right? They're people who fight in conflicts and people who are citizens who have like normal lives, like all slaves. I lived a normal life and then I get yanked out of my life and thrown into hardship. These slaves are interesting because they have weird authority. They are determined to be trustworthy people and honest people. What they are in charge of is usually somebody's kid. So this guy was in charge of Themistocles' kid. And his job wasn't to get him book smart. He's not like a teacher like that, but he had a stick. He's allowed to hit Themistocles' kid. And what he would do is he would walk around with Themistocles' kid and teach him how to be a man, like how to be an honest man and how to conduct himself, and essentially how to not go to prostitutes at too young of an age.
Good lesson to learn.
You need somebody to do that for your kids.
I glad I had that.
Everybody needs that guy.
Yeah.
And so this guy's a very honest person. So Themistocles, it's theorized, is playing this guy because the Persians are honest people.
Yeah. We talk about that.
It's a huge part of their...
They don't lie.
They do not lie. They're do not
all
understand
autistic.
lying. No, but autistic people love being in Persia. Like, this makes sense to me.
Everyone's so honest here.
Yeah, this is great. So he tells Cycnius that he is going to defect. That's the theory. That way, if Cycnius is tortured, he doesn't have to lie because Cycnius is supposed to be, like, this role as a slave is an honest person. This makes it way more believable that this actually happened, right?
I got it.
Because before this, the first time I heard this, I was like, this isn't fucking happen. But after diving into, like, what that type of slave would do, and then how Themistocles obviously knows how to play people, like, this kind of holds some water.
So I had heard a different narrative than
okay,
what
let's
you're
hear
saying. Well, what I just said, right?
Yeah.
I was told that he was like, hey, go tell him that we're about to leave.
Yes.
Which is like false information, correct?
Yes.
Because they're just going to chill.
Yes.
And wait for them to come in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he does tell them that. So he tells them a bunch of truths. Like a good politician, he is both telling the truth and lying.
He's
to
wordsmithing.
Cycnius. He says to tell him things that are true, like the Greeks cannot decide what the best course of action to do, which is true. Then he says a lot of them are ready to leave, which is true.
Yes.
And then he says what is potentially the lie, Themistocles is ready to go over to you, which may not be a lie. So Barry Strauss says it is probable, or at least possible, that if the Greeks can't decide on this, that Themistocles would just go over to them because it's a good political move to do.
There's no other choice.
Yeah, he wants to.
You're like, hey, dude, look what I just did on my own.
Yes.
Would you like these services? And he was like, just call me God. I was like, you're God.
And
All
it
right,
only
good.
works if you don't think the Persians are monsters. If you think the Persians, right? Because if the Persians are monsters, you wouldn't do that.
Hey, hot take here at Battle Buddies. So the Persians weren't monster-like creatures with slits in their faces for noses and like sharp teeth.
And the one Spartan that betrays them is not disfigured with like a bad arm.
I bet you the filmmakers were like, this just shows you, we were trying to say that they're warriors and that they were like basically monsters and that's how strong they were.
Sure.
That's how scared they were of them.
When they died immediately to every guy. It's fine.
I don't know.
Okay. He gives Xerxes that story, which is true and not true. Then the question, I just like hanging on this part for a little bit because it is just fascinating. The question arises, why did Xerxes and the Persians let that guy leave and come back? Well,
because what we were saying where you can't fuck with a courier.
Yeah, you can't fuck with the courier, and he needs to be able to tell Themistocles what the signal would be for the surrender.
Oh.
Which is very true if we are drawing on those previous cases of them doing those in naval battles. I was like, okay, actually, this is holding way more water than I originally
Makes
thought.
a lot of sense. And that was even, when I did the AI thing that I sent you, that was even a thing, was the conditions of surrender.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole thing. Being able to see a surrender is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. The Persians are stoked. They were already probably going to fight in the Battle of Salamis. They probably were already not worried about the Salamis. So let's talk a little bit about what this area looks like, because the Persians are about to go confront the Greeks in it. What's your take on this bay, this little inlet thing?
Well, so this is an interesting picture because it doesn't. It says like Salamis Island. You fucked me up the salami
Yeah,
thing.
salami for life.
It says Salami Island. So this goes around.
Yes.
This right here is just a part of the island, but we can't really see it. This looks more like a river, but it
It's
loops
not, yes,
around.
it does. Let me find the other.
I was under the impression that it's pretty narrow.
It's very narrow.
Very, very narrow.
It goes down to
definitely-
like 30 feet or
So
something.
that's
like
what I
that.
was going to say. Like, it's showing a lot of ships in between here, but I was under the impression that it couldn't do that. Like, at some points, I was saying that Barry was saying there's like two triremes
Yes.
that could make it through. So,
But I
narrow.
think that's further
sure
back as
Still, though.
the tactics start to happen, the Depluce tactic, which we'll talk about in a minute. Yeah, very narrow. It's an island, so there's like a bay and an inlet that goes around this island. So
Yeah.
you have the mainland, then you have an island, then you have this little strait. A strait's the
a
right word.
straight. Yeah,
And it's a small strait. And that's where all the Greek ships are. There's some conflicting stories about how the Persians mobilized to go fight them, right? Because there is one later source that says that the Egyptians go behind them to block it. But that doesn't really seem to be a thing because that would have not worked out on the timeline. So instead, I think we can agree for battle buddies, the most likely is they take all of the men that night, they get them all on the boat that night under this cloudy weather. And we know the weather's been bad because there's been storms, and the storms have already taken out like
September. We're in
Yeah.
September.
there's
So
like 100 boats already taken out by a storm. Like
Oh,
there's
yeah.
there's a whole bunch of stuff.
which was like a god thing. They
Yeah.
attributed that to the gods.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It must be wild watching. It was like 100 to 200 boats. Watching over 100 boats sink in front of you must be otherworldly.
Yeah, I think we talk about that in the Thermopylae series.
Yes, because this is the same thing that they were looking at,
Yes,
right?
100%.
yes,
There's some
it's-
overlap.
Overlap. Crazy. But they get them all into the boats, and then they start going. They go in 3 columns, I believe, is what we believe the Persians had. So it's like a 3-column attack.
Yeah. The problem is that because of the sheer size and numbers of what was going on
Mhm.
and the visibility and the waters, Barry Strauss was surmising that it was not organized and ships were even being turned around and facing each
Yeah.
other. So
That's
it was not
crazy.
good.
No.
Like they weren't filing in super like those cool naval fleet pictures you see floating towards the Strait of Hormuz right now.
Right.
It's not like that.
Well, and even like almost any movie you watch when you have boats with sails or even oars, they can't be that close in real life.
Hell no.
You'd be taking each other's
Yes,
winds
dude.
and you'd be messing with each other's wakes. which
You
would
really want
ruin
to
your
risk
rhythms.
losing or damaging oars? I'm sure
Yes.
they have extra. I'm sure there's extras just for like, but still,
But those oars already are so fragile.
you don't want to do it, dude.
Yeah, no
I
way.
don't know about that.
No way.
And you just don't have room going into it. I don't know. Touchy, tricky.
But what's fun is, so they start to come in, right? They're coming in that night. Themistocles, being the goat that he is, once the courier Cycnius gets back, Cycnius tells him, "Delivered your message, friend." So Themistocles calls the council and goes to the council and says, "Hey guys, I just told the Persians they're coming." And then him and his great rival, Aristes, what is his name? You know the guy I'm talking
Aristides?
about? Aristides. We'll call him Aristides. Aristides the Just. Aristides, he doesn't like Themistocles' propaganda machines, and he doesn't like that. He likes to be honorable. But they have a moment, and we'll do this moment. So you could be Aristides, and they hold out their hands, and they interlace their fingers in between their hands, and they say, I will work with you until this war is complete. And then they lift their hands up. And supposedly that really happened, which
That's
is
precious.
that's hilarious. About to commit thousands of men to death.
That's
like
precious.
we're holding hands. It's
Yeah,
great.
interlocked fingers, mind
Yeah.
you. That's like intimate.
It is intimate.
I feel closer to you,
So
and I will go to war with you.
yeah, let's do it.
All right.
I'm ready now. I do like that though, that it's what I want. It's what I've been saying about my problem with American politics.
Oh,
It's
skin in the
once,
game.
Once things happen, everyone's got to kind of lock in step because the choice has already been made. So now's not the time to be pointing fingers. Now's the time to make the best of this.
And they also do. That's the dopest thing about the Athenians here. They do put skin in the game.
They do.
They become some citizen soldiers.
Yes. So now it takes them a little bit for the council to be convinced that it's happening, but now they're convinced it's happening.
There's like scouts and shit on their way
start to see
back, and there's absolutely. That's a cool thing. That would have been a dope job at the time, scouting.
That one guy is said to have swam across it. It's like 10 miles.
Wild.
And they said he swam underwater through the whole thing.
Oh yeah, dude.
Probably not.
That's when like King Jong-un probably did it too.
He ran across it.
Yeah.
While the Persians' ships are coming up to the Greeks that night, one thing that Barry Strauss talks about, and also from our next episode that we're going to do on mishaps, one thing that author was talking about was noise, like decibel levels, and how modern people don't realize how quiet ancient battles were. That there's no cannons, nothing's making noise.
People dying,
but he's like decimal wise, like as far as what you would most likely experience most of the day, would be very quiet. Like like that's it. Like there's nothing else. Yeah, very quiet. And it just shook me. It's like until the cannon came around, it was just a quieter experience, and that there's weird things with that, like mentally. There is noise on naval fighting because they need
200 ships though.
Yeah, they have all these ships, and they need to have each ship or at the same time, right? You have to have the right power, so they do drumming,
singing,
and so they said the Persians wanted to surprise the Greeks. So how did they do this? They were maybe doing like natural sounds, like rocks on the boat, like clanging rocks to a beat. Just like interesting things. Barry Strauss was getting into like, how did they hide the smell of all the sweat from all the men? Like maybe they front loaded it with like natural fragrances, like flowers. Like this is very interesting, and
it is.
It makes you understand again that although technology changes, people have always been the same level of clever and just as intelligent. And so ancient warfare is still as complicated as it can be as
That's
now,
fun.
right?
I like that.
Yeah, so there's like high level thinking going on here.
Oh, dude, yeah. Especially when we were learning about the word like techne and how it interweaves into society. I think that's a beautiful way to put it.
Okay, we get some of the formations as the Greeks start to figure out what to do. So this is right before dawn. He ordered his men to set sail immediately and to range in battle array near the harbor mouth. The western or left wing was formed by the Athenians, the right by the Spartans and the Aegiantines, and the center by the other contingents. Their battle formation consisted of a rectangle, 15 ships in line abreast and 25 lines deep, of 375 triremes. This arrangement filled the narrow strait with galleys. The Persians were, therefore, exposed to a flank attack as they entered the Bay of Salami. Only their leading vessels could enter the battle, and they were prevented from using their greatly superior force.
The numbers won't count for shit.
Yeah, so the Persians have like 1,000 triremes, maybe like 700 at this point because a lot have been destroyed, but they have a lot and they can't use them because of this rectangle wedge thing is causing them to go into such small little columns.
They were also, Barry Strauss was also saying that for some reason the Persians' triremes did not have the same turn radius as
that was weird.
The Athenians. And one of the things that he was saying was because the Athenians had heavier ships, they were able to sit in the water and like move back and forth a little bit easier, which is wild. I would have never assumed that.
It's hard once you get like keel math going on, like, you know, like where's your keel and how's it going in, but they're oaring, so I don't know if they have keels for a trireme. I don't know. Complicated.
Very complicated.
And where the weight is on the boat matters for how the turn works. I will say that I understand it a little bit because, you know, I'll sail on like little boats and I'll sail on a bigger boat that's heavier, and it is like, it just like
really
stops and turns. You know, like
interesting.
It is like a funny thing. So now it is sunrise, and it's September 20th, and shit's gonna hit the fan. So it could be September 20th. It could be September 27th. Who fucking cares? It's thousands of years ago, guys. And I'm reading. This is from the Naval Academy, which
Oh, cool.
it does have good descriptions of the battle. Obviously, the Naval Academy would focus on the good parts, which would be
Yeah, the formations you
Yeah.
were speaking about, I don't even. That's
Yes.
dope.
yeah. That's why I wanted that because I feel like Barry Strauss did a good job with everything else. So
All right,
the
we got our
Persian
boy. I like that Xerxes is watching from his command post. By the way,
Yes, we didn't talk about that. So Xerxes, he set up his beach chair right across on the other side of Salami.
can you correct me if I'm wrong? Did we not say the same thing about Thermopylae?
He did do the same thing in
He
Thermopylae.
watched, right?
Yeah. And supposedly he stood up 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a scribe move right there.
Yes.
Oh, he stood up.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's sitting there. He has a team of scribes. So he's kind of like Alexander the Great in that he has like a propaganda team with him already. Just
Good
helping
move.
him. Yeah.
That's like having people do your Instagram for you.
Yes, absolutely. That's the goal.
It is actually.
So he's ready to reward those that do well and punish those that do poorly. Yeah. So he has his team.
Yeah,
team
that's a
ready to go.
thing. That's a thing. They're taking notes about who fucks
Yes.
up.
Oh, and we didn't say on the Persian side, but it's worth noting that one general did say that they should not go to this conflict. And that person was a female queen. Female warrior queen exists in this time period.
Shout out to all my slay queens out there.
Hell yeah.
Is that right?
Sure.
Sure.
We'll get to her hopefully towards the end, but
Gee, I wonder why they didn't listen to her.
there's a great quote at the end about that, which is fun. It's like, my women are behaving like men, my men are behaving like women.
So, but didn't they? Which side sent a female as a leader as a message that we are sending a female to in battle to show you that you will lose to a female? Like it was like a slap in the face.
Wasn't it the
Is it
Greek?
the Athenians?
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
was the Greek female.
They portray it in the movie, The Rise of the Empire.
Oh, do they?
Shitty ass movie.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. But the Persians also have a female leader. Too.
Yeah, and they all respect them deeply.
So the women, but the women queens are
Well, they're dope. I'm just
yes.
just saying. Unfortunately, the history that we read is not kind to the women.
No.
No.
Well, and it's weird because at the time, if you became a female, like a warrior queen, you are respected as fuck. Like, because you were very good at everything.
Yeah.
You're going to do it. Like, if you're going to be that and you're going to make this happen for you, you understand men very well.
Yeah.
And that's been shown through a lot of these military historians in like modern day. Like Strauss talks about it. Like, no, they know how to like flirt with men. They know how to put them down. They know how to get them to die for them. Like they know how
To
men
manipulate
work. Yeah,
them,
they know how
yeah.
men work backwards and forwards.
Such fragile men.
Oh my god, I have this grill book. This is great, and it has these lengthy discussions about how to grill meat, and it's just like, yeah. I love it. And it's really good. It's a fantastic book.
Oh, I bet.
But when it gets to the fish, it really has to calm down, and it says, "You don't have to be scared. Men are so scared of cooking fish on the grill.
It's true.
It's such a fragile meat." And they can't just cook it for so long. It's just a brief time.
Oh, he's like calling to men being like scared. I am also scared.
No,
of
it's absolutely. I was like, this is my real fear. I am a fragile man.
This is
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, dude, grilling fish is so hard, bro.
And it's like, it doesn't have to be scary. Just put the timer on your phone. Just trust yourself.
Good call, bro. Yep.
Really
He
good.
knows his audience.
Yeah, it's a great book. The Weber Grill Book. It's fantastic. All right, back to the morning. The Persian fleet advanced into Salami Harbor from the southeast in 3 lines. That's what we were talking about, the 3 columns. The right wing was occupied by the Phoenicians. So that's the strongest part, the right wing. The center is by the Egyptians. And the reason why I was talking about the other sources is because some sources say that's not where the Egyptians were.
Interesting.
We're saying that's where they are. And the left wing by the subject Greeks and the other allies from Asia Minor. So the people they brought over.
Ionians.
Yeah. The first line, the Phoenician squadron, occupied the narrow strait between the island of Psytalia and the mainland of Greece. It was chiefly upon the squadron that Xerxes based his hopes of victory. The second line, the Egyptians, was stationed between the island of Psytalia and Piraeus to guard the main entrance into the strait. The third line, which was chiefly composed of the Ionian Greeks, took up its position in the passage between the shore of Salami and the island of Cytalia, for the purpose of preventing a flanking attack on the part of the Greeks. It is believed by some historians that the maneuver of this division in emerging into the main channel again during the battle added much to the confusion that seized the Persian fleet.
Yeah.
The Persian prince, I'm going to apologize for not pronouncing this even remotely correctly, Aribians and Archimedes, I'm really sorry, brothers of Xerxes commanded the entire fleet.
Nice. He's got brothers in there, at least.
So he has two brothers that are leading. So Darius had tons of kids. And these kids kind of work well together. Like he had a huge harem.
All right. And so I wonder what happens to this Persian center because the Greek wings have wings as well.
Yes.
And so from my understanding, the Greek wings start to encircle and isolate pockets of these Phoenicians, doing almost like pincer moves.
Yeah, like the De Plus tactic.
Tell me everything.
Where you kind of run through, you drum through. Well, let's let this guy kind of talk us through a little bit, then we'll talk about it. We'll stop when we get to the signaling, because that's when it gets a lot of fun. At the first sight of the enemy, the Greeks began backing water and retiring into the harbor. However, an Athenian captain named Amenius of Pellene suddenly surged forward and drove his bronze ram into the middle of the Phoenician trireme. The two vessels became entangled and could not separate, and the entire Greek armada, inspired by this true example of courage, charged forward as one to his aid and engaged the advancing foe. This is the manner in which the Athenians say the battle started. However, the Aegineans claim that it was started by a vessel which had come to Aegina for the, I don't know how to say this word, Acadi. Nope. There is also another story which states that the phantom in the form of a woman appeared before the Greeks, and in a voice that was heard by the entire fleet, rebuked them by saying, "Strange men, how long are you going to back water? Come on, come on! This is no time to linger on your oars." The voice then beckoned and cheered them into battle.
Athena. That's the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And so out of all the three of them, obviously the one that we say happens is that Athena appeared as a woman and said, "Stop being little bitches."
Yeah, Athena for sure appears to the Athenians and is like, "You're going in the opposite direction. You're being a pussy."
This is also, I don't know why this guy is saying it like it's a negative. This was the strategy. The strategy was pull them into the strait.
Yeah.
And so they are backing water, meaning that they're facing forward and they are rowing backwards, saying, "No, don't come, don't get us."
They're luring them.
Yes. And it's very good. It's a very good strategy. They used it before and it worked before. How do they know when to turn? This is the cool part of military tactics of this time period. They didn't have the flag systems that came out, when privateers are going on. But they had signals. There's a lot of different theories. I think the main one that we know that they did is they would flash. They would find the sun, take their shield, and flash their shield or their sword at the other guy and get his attention. Be like, "Go, go, go, go!"
Now's the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they kept going back until whenever the leader, which I think is Themistocles, is like, "Now flash the signals!" Start the flashing, and then probably some yelling commands to get boats going, and then they turn and they start freaking going.
Yeah, and so if you don't make a clean ram all the way through, which 9 times out of 10 you don't, that means now that your Marines are... First, you have to... That's another thing. While you ram, think about this. Right before you ram, everyone has to pull their oars in.
Yes,
bro.
that's true.
Everyone has to pull their oars in to get ready so that you can save your oars in case your ship does all a clean all the way through. And if it doesn't, well, then you got Marines jumping on board.
Yeah.
And that's like a whole sword fight. Oh, I want to watch a movie like that.
I know. Master and Commander isn't bad for that. At the end.
For real. That's
good.
the closest you're going to get.
Let's keep going. I like this guy's take on this. Let's read a little more on this. I like the military tactics side of it. As the Greeks advanced, the Phoenician galleys, the right wing, moved in column formation to meet them, while the other two sections of the Persian fleet remained in their original positions. The fighting began on the Greek left wing, and it was the Athenians and the the Phoenicians, who carried the real weight of the battle. The Persian galleys, which were heavy in construction and overwhelming in numbers, forged irresistibly up the channel and compelled the Greeks, who fought desperately, to retire before them. Squadron after squadron of the Asiatics poured into the narrow strait, and they tried to compress their enormous force through the narrow channel at the eastern side of the island of Psytalia, where it was not more than yards in width. So that's what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, so it's fucked that you can't turn around.
Can't turn around. They were forced to reduce from 3 boat shallow lines into probably 9 single deep columns. Oh, that's terrible. Confusion set in and progress ceased. Oars were shattered and broken, and when in the middle of the day a stiff breeze rose and a heavy swell rolled in from the Aegina, the disorder became more involved. They fell afoul of each other, and in order to escape, they tried to withdraw some ships from the line. This was another part that is important here, is that the wind also is supporting. The wind is supporting the Greeks,
which is another thing of the gods.
It's the gods.
It's the gods, bro.
All those sacrifices.
Yeah. Athena's straight up. She's there, bro.
Yeah.
So that's wind.
We just saw her.
The god of the wind, or whatever.
Okay. In the meanwhile, the Greeks, who had been able to keep their ships under control, were quick to take advantage of their enemy's helplessness at a given signal. So that's the signal we were talking about. I think this is the second signal we would see. They drew back their ships and then with tremendous speed drove forward in to the Persian ranks. They repeated this maneuver again and again. And each time caused great damage to their foes. It's dope. So they pulled them back. They got the wind. They saw the numbers reduce. So instead of 3, they just got 1 deep-ass column. They're like, well, we can hang on to 1 ship at a time.
Yep.
Sounds great.
It's manageable.
We have heavy boats. This is what our boats are for.
And it's also said that Marines had arrows.
Yes.
Right? It is also said that perhaps, in theory, that there could have been some city soldiers on the shore aiming arrows down on them as well, right?
Yeah, and because the Persians are such great archers in this time period, but they just can't get into position. Because they would be so much more effective here because there's not as much bronze that they're wearing. The Greeks aren't wearing as much bronze as normal. Whereas that bronze was really reducing the damage of the arrows. But when you're on the boat and the Greeks have to swim sometimes, I don't think they're wearing full bronze because some of them talk about swimming to shore after they crash.
You're not wearing
bronze or anything.
No.
So something's lying there. All right. So at this time, the Greek right wing made a maneuver, and this is going to be the pivotal maneuver according to this guy. They are going to attack the Persian left wing, which is stationed at that island. They succeeded in smashing through the Ionian line, and in the last stages of the battle, this position proved to be valuable as it allowed the Greeks to cut off the retreating Phoenician vessels. After routing the Ionians, they probably launched a flank attack upon the Phoenician position and made it very uncomfortable for them. Whether they did or did not make this move, their position made that of the Phoenicians indefensible, and it determined the outcome of the battle.
So then this is whoever wrote this is clearly a professor who's been in the Navy and this is conjecture at someone. He's like, I imagine they probably did this.
Yeah, so we don't have clear data on the end of this battle. We know that they end up winning, but we don't. It essentially stops once that signal comes in and they start ramming. Then we know that they stop the retreat somehow, but we don't really know how. So that's the theory, is that they did this flank against, to recap, the flank is the Greek right wing flanks the Persian left wing, and that is the deciding factor. And that's the only thing that really makes sense given the terrain.
Yeah. So after they realize that they're not able to fight on this battleground or, in these waters, they retreat, bro.
Yes,
they retreat bad, and to the point where Xerxes leaves and leaves the command to Mardonius.
Yes.
Because he's ashamed and embarrassed.
He is embarrassed.
Yes.
It's interesting because that's the story we get from the Greeks, from like Herodotus.
Yeah.
There's other stories that Xerxes might have thought they won. Because they might have won. Proportion-
Actually, that's a good theory. I do like that. But he wouldn't have given it to Mardonius. But that is also,
Mardonius was also already the general.
and also that is the Greeks' perspective.
Yes. Because if you look at the numbers, if you're just a bystander and you're watching hundreds of ships on both sides crash, you're like, cool. Well, we had a lot more than them, and now they have a lot less.
That's true.
We're doing real good, guys.
Yeah, if it's a numbers thing. then
If you are
yeah.
just number crunching,
yeah,
and
tempo.
it's just tempo. That's a good callback. In terms of tempoing, I think the Persians are doing just fine. This was the best case for the Greeks.
Yeah, quick reminder of what tempo is for. If you guys have not listened to our episode on
Strategy and tactics.
Go do that. That's what we're referring to. Tempo is a
strategy where you seek to beat your opponent by trading with them. And
happens in chess all the time.
Happens in chess. So if I get a position that's good, or if I'm up pieces or up points on any game, I'm now going to trade points with you until I win because I'm up 1 point. So if I'm up 1 point on you and we're playing Monopoly, I have $1 more than you, I will just keep letting you also do things that you want to do because as long as I can do them too, I will win at the end by $1.
There we go.
And the Persians are very good at this.
Yeah.
Their economics are solid. That's why not everybody revolts against them. It's because they're strong with this part of their ruling. But maybe they were mad. Who knows? They get mad at Plataea, that's for sure. Plataea doesn't end well for them.
That's where they go next.
Yeah.
So one day we'll cover that. In 3 years, we'll cover Plataea.
Yeah. Dan Carlin does a good job covering Plataea. That's why I didn't want to cover it.
Yeah, he spends like 2 hours talking about Plataea.
And it's really fun. Plataea is really fun because it has all the animal sacrifices in it. And it's just nonstop animal sacrifices. Okay. There's some fun things that happen also that we can talk about in this battle. I want to look more at this naval commanders or naval scholar, I guess, David Gene Edwards. What he says about it is he calls this the use of the Greek fleet after Salamis is the first example in history of the proper use of sea power. So he's saying the important part of this is that the Greeks absolutely used the water correctly.
And the weather.
They understood the terrain. They understood how to keep the initiative. They understood all these, what we now assume are principles and foundations of naval warfare. He's saying, like, this is where it comes from. It comes from this battle. Like, before this, nobody was talking like this about, like, do you have the weather gauge, which is so important once you get privateers and sailing ships going on. But before that, people weren't talking about that as much, you know?
Super good point. Before we recorded this episode, I sat in on a war council with AI about the night before. And then I was a veteran on the council who's been to Marathon, and they just come to me for, like, guidance.
Yeah.
And I had Themistocles talk to me about all that stuff. And at the end, when we're making all the decisions, I was like, is the weather seer here? And they had a weather seer. He's like, I've been studying the skies for nights and nights. And he's like, and based off of me studying the skies for the last 2 months, I think that the wind is going to be good tomorrow morning between this time and this time.
I believe it.
Dude. So, like, I didn't have that perspective until I started the AI thing. And I was like, dang, they probably did have some weather guys there that would give them the proper foresight.
I read at least one guy who was theorizing that, like, this was not an accident that that Themistocles wanted to be this day, that they had some type of intel that doesn't go to Herodotus. You know, that was a war council. It's fairly boring, but it's stuff that, like, military podcasts in thousands of years later would have just loved to have access to.
Yes. Yeah. Super fun to read about. This is another one of those huge, if you are into battles, you got to know the basics of Salamis, and we do now.
Oh, let's end with the queen. Yeah, okay, I got the queen battle here. Phew, I was worried I wasn't going to find it. So,
Slay.
Okay, so her name is Artemisia. She's a Carian queen, and she opposed the war at the Persian Council, historically. That's what's been told. And she sees that it's going bad, and supposedly she just rams through one of, like, her own alliance ships, essentially, to get away from it. She's like, this is dumb. I knew this was dumb. We're going. And she hits this other guy and goes, like, right, give him some king, and kills him. Luckily, all of his men die with him, And
yeah.
Xerxes apparently looks at it and says, "Oh, that's our queen. What's she doing?" And they're like, "Oh, it looked like she just sank a Greek ship." And so she's like, "Yeah, I sank a Greek ship. I didn't sink one of my own ships. I sank a Greek one." And he's like, "Ah, I love it." And then he says, "My men have behaved like women and my women like men."
Yes, I've heard this.
Fucking awesome. Anyway, so women are fighting this. And this is cool because there are more women leaders. There's not as many as we obviously would like, but there's more than I thought. Like in the Britain, right? We had the female warrior queen when we were doing Caesar, who was like had all the Britons just attacking Caesar and like throwing them back. Like there are women leaders, warrior queens in this time that are fucking interesting.
Absolutely.
How do they rise to that level in these time periods?
Yeah, even when we did Megiddo, Tutmosis' mom was super powerful.
Well, and Xerxes' mom, she's no fucking joke, dude.
So women have had power, dude. Yeah. We just, for some reason, we just don't talk about it enough.
Okay, let's hear some 1938 conclusions about this battle and see if they still hold.
1938, bro. Yeah. Here we go. Let's hear it.
The victory made the Athenian common man realize that he had in himself the divine possibility of achieving through hard work success of the highest order in any work he might undertake.
So, I mean, the coolest part about it, the part that, like, if you sit here and you wonder why this matters for, like, Western civilization, the big thing from my perspective was that the Persia's fleet was ran by slaves. And the Greek fleet was ran by volunteers, people who were, and that was Themistocles used that as his advantage.
Yeah,
being like, hey, you guys get to fight this war. This is your war to fight.
Yeah.
And it is important, dude. And I can sit here as a veteran and say, like, sometimes when like World War III is knocking at the door, when you're like, I did the first one was dumb. The first war on terror was really stupid. And there people are like, how do you know? It's like, I was there. And I feel that like that's kind of similar vibes.
Okay, here's another one. All of this wonderful development is attributed to the Greek ideal that the innate nobleness of mankind is attained by making men realize more and more his true power through self-governments in a democracy. And
yeah, that sounds like 1938
I was
speak.
like, Athens is the only democracy here. They're not the only ones doing this. I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't really hold as much water once you dig into it. An interesting part that we will come up with our mishaps next time is I've been really getting into these different military historians on their definition of a victory versus a defeat. And it's been very interesting. His take is that the only true measure of the importance of a battle is the consequence involved, which is an interesting take because I will propose a different definition next time.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't think it matters.
He's saying if you run a red light, it's okay based on where you're going. Is that like his philosophy?
Right. How does it work out? Like, did you kill anybody?
In consequentialism, like, it doesn't matter.
Not where you're going. Did you cause an accident when you ran the red light? Did you get to where you needed to get to? The ends justifies the means.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Whereas I'm going to go against that definition.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
That's an old school definition.
It is. It's a 1938, some 1938 speak for sure.
Yeah.
It's a bit old school for my taste and blood.
But it's fun.
It is fun. And so is recording these episodes.
Hell yeah.
And so is being here with you. And so is being here with the listener. And if you were listening to this, we appreciate you.
Thanks, man.
Especially if you were a listener who listened to our original first Thermopylae episodes. If you go and listen to that, which I'm not recommending you do, and then you listen to this in comparison, big difference.
Big difference.
Woo! Embarrassing.
No, it's good. It's progress.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
We're not ordinary men.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Good. Full circle. Yeah, we got a lot of episodes coming up.
We do have a lot.
We recorded today. We're going to be recording on Sunday. We got another one next week. Or after that, whatever. But we got some fun stuff coming. It's going to be a good summer.
Yes, it's been a great summer.
And we appreciate the hell out of those who listen to us. And until next time,
Hoka hey.